What's up, everybody? Dan Canobbio here for Inside Boxing Live. We have some breaking news in the boxing world. Not too much of a surprise. If you've been following along, you've been following the story, and that is Showtime Sports officially getting the axe from Paramount Global to shut down their boxing enterprise. Over 37 years, Showtime has been in the game, and no more. Just came through the wire today on Tuesday, October 17th. That they will no longer be in business. They have two more fights remaining on their 2023 schedule. David Benavidez against Demetrius Andrade, and then there's December 9th card with opponents to be listed. But this is a sad day. This is a really sad day. It hits home. I worked with Showtime through CompuBox. Came on in 2012 to provide stats for them. We got to know them after 30 plus years of CompuBox not working with Showtime. So from a personal standpoint, it hurts because I got to know a lot of the people there. Great people. They really care about the sport. They really care about boxing. And I think that came through on their broadcast. I know boxing fans love their broadcast. I love their broadcast. Professional. And with HBO leaving in 2017, which really hurt, we said, oh, you know what? Yeah, it sucks. We don't have HBO, but we'll still have Showtime. We still got Showtime. It's not a streaming service, which is funny because they potentially could turn into a streaming service now with PBC going to Amazon. We'll get to that in a little bit. But what we said, we got Showtime. We got Al Bernstein. We got their great storytelling. We got All Access. They had Floyd Mayweather, who came over from HBO. So there was a lot of comfort for boxing fans when HBO left because they always had Showtime to go along with it. And there was a while where Showtime was the premier place to watch boxing. I'm talking like 2011, 2012, when Floyd made the jump, and when PBC did the deal with Oscar, or when Oscars went to rehab, I believe it was, and all those Golden Boy fighters that were with, those PBC fighters that were with Golden Boy started to trickle over to Showtime, and we were getting big fights, like the Danny Garcia era when he was first coming up, and Deontay Wilder showing up on Showtime and PBC. Obviously, Floyd Mayweather, all the welterweights, Sean Porter, Keith Thurman. The 154-pound division was ruled by PBC fighters, and it played out on Showtime. So it was a solid 5-6 years where Showtime, which was number 2 for a long time behind HBO, became a major player and, in a way, put HBO out of business. So it is very sad, but it's also a long time coming. I know that their ratings were not doing well, and it's not because of anything that they were doing wrong. I know that Steven Espinoza put out a statement, and I'm looking for it right now. It is with profound disappointment that I shared this morning's news that the company has decided to shut down Showtime Sports at the end of this year. For 37 years, Showtime Sports event program has occupied an important position in the sports and media ecosystem, delivering premium storytelling, bold, provocative documentaries, and thoughtful, all that, blah, blah, blah. The company's decision is not a reflection of the work we have done in recent years, nor our long and proud history. It is not an indictment on the value we have delivered to this network for 37 years, nor in particular 2023. Unfortunately, in a rapidly growing, evolving media marketplace, the company had to make these difficult choices and allocating resources, blah, blah, blah. The biggest part of that statement is the beginning of it. The company's decision is not a reflection of the work we have done in recent years. They have done great work. The All Access is just a fight night broadcast. Having Custer at the desk. David Dinkins is the executive producer, putting his touches on it. It just looked like a great production. So, and they have great fights this year. I mean, Showtime's going to be the network of the year, which is ironic. At the end of the year, when me and Chris do our year-end awards, Showtime Boxing has to be the network of the year. PBC has to be the promoter of the year, from Caleb Plant versus David Benavidez to Ryan versus Tank to Crawford versus Spence, Benavidez versus Andrade next month, Canelo now involved. So, leads me to my next point, is the future of the PBC. What's going to happen with PBC? People have been preying on their downfall. They've been talking about their demise for years. The people that have been talking about Showtime dying, Eddie Hearn or some of the Twitter trolls out there, they finally got their wish that Showtime is gone. But I don't think it's a good thing, but I don't think it's the end of the world. PBC still has a very attractive roster. They just signed Canelo Alvarez to a 3-fight deal. He just did a pay-per-view with Jermell Charlo. The fight sucked, but it was a very good event that did about 700 to 800 pay-per-view buys. He still has 2 more fights on his deal. He can extend that even longer as long as he wants to fight. They got Terrence Crawford under contract. He is pound for pound #1 fighter in the world. Deontay Wilder, whenever he steps into a ring, he's on there, even though he's aging a little bit. Errol Spence, also on the roster at PBC. Gervonta Davis, the #1 piece, #1 asset at PBC because of his age and his popularity and some of the fights that can be made in the lightweight division for him if he decides to make those fights. I'm talking about Shakur Stevenson, Devin Haney, Teofimo Lopez. He's the biggest asset for PBC. He is with them. This is a big moment for Al Haymon, a guy that has done nothing but make deals. You can say anything you want about Al Haymon and his managerial style or what he's done to boxing. He's done a lot of positives, and there's people out there that have a lot of negatives to say about him. Every fighter that I've talked to has glowing things to say about Al Haymon because he makes them a lot of money. He is able to secure TV right deals, Al Haymon. He did it at Fox. He did it at NBC. Did it at Spike TV, ESPN. PBC has been on every single channel. Now, I know what the detractors will say, poke holes in that, because all those left. They were all gone. Like, PBC doesn't on Fox anymore. It's on ESPN. It's on NBC. It had a big rollout. They're actually doing time buys, which is a story for another day. But Haymon is a master at finding a place to land. And according to these reports, Mike Coppinger and some other reporters, Keith Idec, Chris Mannix, Amazon Prime is looking like the emerging frontrunner for PBC to be on there. Amazon Prime has 150 million subscribers. That's a big number. I mean, they already have Thursday Night Football. I know that Apple and Amazon are entering a war for the rights to live sports. Boxing is one of the cheapest sports to live produce, and it has some big dividends for some of these big pay-per-views. Why do you think Showtime was putting on big pay-per-view after the next, or PBC, I should say? It's because they wanted to show their future network, which is not Showtime, that this is what we can do. We can bring you a Plant Benavidez. We can bring you a Tank Ryan, a Crawford Spence, a Canelo. We can still do that. And Amazon Prime, I'm sure, wants to get into that business, whether it's pay-per-views or whether it's part of your subscription. So I'm not too worried about the future of where PBC will land. Would it be absolutely ironic if they end up on DAZN? Yes, because DAZN, PBC, Showtime have been beefing for years. Leonard Ellerby famously saying, none of our fighters will ever fight on an app. Well, guess what? If they sign a deal with DAZN, you might end up fighting on an app. From a consumer standpoint, I'm curious to know what people would think in the comment section. Where would you want PBC to go? Would you want them to go to DAZN? So therefore, you have Matchroom and you have PBC under one banner. We're getting closer and closer to all boxing being on one entity, which would eliminate any disruptions or eliminate any obstacles for any big fight being made. Or would you rather it be on Amazon Prime for a little bit cheaper? Because you know if PBC goes to DAZN, that is going to increase the price of that. So a lot of things swirling around right now. It's a sad day. It's a very sad day for boxing because Showtime has been around forever. I mean, they had Marvin Hagler versus Mugabe was on regular Showtime. Some of Mike Tyson's biggest fights were on Showtime. Diego Corrales, the best fights of all time, was on Showtime. Not to mention what we saw over the last 10, 15 years with Floyd Mayweather and the welterweights and all that. Very rich history of boxing. Sadly, it closes. But that's the way sports are going. That's the way media is going. It's just ever evolving. Every year it's something new. It's something different. Paramount came in and said, you know what, this isn't working. Showtime as a whole, the entire network, isn't doing great. So I wasn't really shocked to see them close the doors on Showtime. This isn't as shocking as the HBO one, which really hurt, which seemed like it came out of literally nowhere. This one has been talked about for about 12 to 18 months. Heard a lot of rumblings when I was in Vegas for the Canelo fight. A lot of my close friends work at Showtime. I mean, Showtime put me on a lot of their stuff. Like, I would end up on Morning Combat. They took a liking to some of my work here, so I'll always keep those connections with Showtime. Sad day, but not the end of the world. Boxing will move on. They'll move on to probably streaming, whether it's with DAZN, whether it's Apple or Amazon. I'm interested to see where it's going to go. Where do you think PBC will end up next year? Thanks for watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe. Inside Boxing Live.